What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap Show. NFL Week 1 was crazy. Some crazy things have happened. My Indianapolis Colts lost, but let's talk about Tyreek Hill. A lot of people are seeing the footage of what happened. Him showing up, going to work, going to the Dolphin Stadium. He gets pulled over. Some people are saying he was going 100 miles an hour in a 35. I really don't know what happened. What I do know is what I saw in the video, and it was kind of disturbing, really. I mean, we look at Tyreek Hill. He doesn't seem like he'd be the type of guy to get involved in a bunch of things outside of football. But, this situation was crazy to me. I thought, both sides could have handled it differently. We look at Tyreek Hill. He said something. I don't know what was said to the cop. And then the cop basically said, all right, bro, if you're not going to listen to us, we're going to have it our way, is basically how I took it. Tyreek rolled up the window, which that was his first mistake. I think for Tyreek Hill, just leave the window down. I understand, you're going through some things, whatever the case may be, but we're talking about cops here. They have a little bit more power than just a regular civilian, and it's crazy to call Tyreek a regular civilian because he's not, but at the end of the day, I thought the cops handled it way, way differently. It could have easily been, all right, Tyreek, once he rolled down the window the second time, he could have been like, the officers could have been like, hey, we're going to give you a fat ticket right now, and we're going to let you go to your game that you need to go to, but we're going to write you a fat ticket. That's what should have happened. But what happened was, no, the cop got really egotistic, dragged Tyreek out of the car, and literally was just had him on the ground. It was crazy, bro. It was like, dude, this is Tyreek Hill. Bro, you got him on the ground, dude, on everything. And then what really got me, I think it was the second cop that really struck a nerve to me, was dude, Tyreek sitting there talking to the officer. Everything's kind of in situation. Then the second cop comes up behind Tyreek, almost chokes him, and just slams him down to the ground. Just gets him down to the ground, and Tyreek's like, I just had knee surgery, bro. What are you doing? What are you doing here? This is crazy. But, Tyreek ended up snapping off, which I thought he'd have a bad game. After all this transpired Sunday morning, going to the Miami Dolphins game, I thought for sure, hey, I just don't think Tyreek's going to really ball out. But I was completely wrong. Tyreek came to play. He really did. I mean, he had that deep ball from Tua, and that was the difference there. But Tyreek had 130 yards receiving and one tutty. And Tyreek, he does what Tyreek does. Tua had a touchdown. They ended up winning by 3 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but everybody else was just kind of in shock as well. It was just it could have been a regular stop, a regular situation where just write the ticket, but no, Tyreek was literally on the ground, dude. It was just definitely ego trip by the officer. Both officers involved. It was just and then the officers don't cry about it. Listen to me. Basically saying bro, if you don't listen to me, I'm going to F you up, is what I kind of took it. And when Tyreek's on the ground, he's talking to his buddy on the phone saying he's going to get arrested and this stuff. And the officers involved in this situation did not help whatsoever. The situation kept escalating where they need to de-escalate the situation and calm everybody down. That's what should have happened, dude. But, hey, this is America, bro. America is crazy. People are ready to shoot. Whether it's a cop or not, it doesn't matter. People nowadays, they will love to shoot, and they're just ready for that, bro. That's what's crazy about America today. It's people are ready, they want to shoot. They want the opportunity to present itself, so they're ready to go. And it's just bro, why are we like this? Really, bro? We're ready to just shoot on sight like that? We're ready for this type of situations to go down. We're kind of wanting this stuff to happen. We saw the Georgia shooting happen last week. Rest in peace to the 4 people that died in that terrible school shooting. And they kind of knew about that student as well. But it's just crazy, man. Crazy times. But, for Tyreek Hill, man, I got justice for Tyreek. I understand he should have rolled his window down, kept it down, all that. Wasn't complying the best. But it doesn't mean that, take him down on the ground and just basically manhandle him, do what you want with Tyreek Hill, dude. That's crazy to me. It really is. But shout out to the Miami Dolphins. Tyreek, man, get better, man. Well, who knows? We'll more know about the story. Was he going 135? Who knows? Maybe that gives it a little justice, but still, bro, the second cop coming up behind Tyreek and choking him like that and getting him to the ground, bro, that's crazy, man. That's insane. It's still crazy here in America that we're dealing with this type of stuff. And then we got the Thursday night game, the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Baltimore Ravens. All was wrong on this prediction. I picked the Ravens, and it looked like it was going to hit. It really did. We saw Lamar at the end of the game. I don't know if it was Zay Flowers' fault or Lamar's, but he overthrew him. And it was just like one of them things where it's like, I don't know. Zay Flowers ran the wrong route. We don't know, but it was wide open. It really was. It was wide open, but Mahomes got it done. 291 yards passing, a touchdown and an interception. You have Pacheco with a tutty. You had Rashid Rice over 100 yards receiving. Now, Rashid Rice is in a completely different situation than Tyreek Hill. Like, Tyreek didn't do a hit and run. Tyreek was never involved in this. Tyreek was speeding, dude, and he got beaten down and got on the ground. Rashid Rice, he got involved in an incident this offseason that he hit and ran, and he just walked off the scene. Like, in what? Rashid Rice is still playing in the NFL. That's crazy to me, bro. The system's so crazy, bro. It doesn't make sense to me. Xavier Worthy, a touchdown. Shout out to Xavier Worthy, rookie. I mean, we're in a 4-2 in the 40. I mean, Lamar, man, I kind of feel bad for Lamar sometimes. Everything's on Lamar Jackson, bro. All the pressure. He had 273 yards passing in a tutty. He had over 100 yards rushing, 122 yards rushing. Isaiah Likely had over 100 yards receiving in a touchdown. I hope I pick him up in fantasy because I knew he was nice. He's definitely a nice snag in fantasy terms. But Zay Flowers, missed that throw at the end with Lamar and Zay Flowers. I don't know whose fault it was, but that was a huge critical mistake. In Kansas City once, we saw Isaiah Likely look like he touched down. It did look like his tippy toe did step out of bounds, which would be considered an incomplete pass. So I think they did it right on that thing. But before that play, it should have been, Lamar Jackson. Then I do think they would have went for 2 for the game against Kansas City. And I think Lamar is 1-5 against Patrick Mahomes. So these two teams right here, the Ravens and Kansas City, we're going to definitely see them down the road. We're definitely going to see them in the playoffs. I can't wait for that matchup. And then we got the Philadelphia Eagles beating up Green Bay Packers in the Friday night game in Brazil. This was another great game. I picked Philly. The 2 hit, the over, the 49.5. I told you to go with the over. That hit as well. Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. 278 yards passing. And then you had Saquon Barkley, over 100 yards rushing and 3 tutties. I mean, Saquon is the X factor in Philly. All the offense has got to go through Saquon and then open it up for A.J. Brown, for Devontae Smith. Those guys. So A.J. Brown, 119 yards receiving and a tutty. It was all Philly. Even though this was really close, I feel bad for Jordan Love. Got hurt at the second to last play of the game. Looked like he hurt his knee. Looked like he's going to be out a month here. Hyperextended it. It's not a tear. He'll probably be out a month or 2, but he definitely will be back. It's going to be interesting to see what develops in Green Bay, who the backups is, who they're going to think is going to take over. And like I said, Jaden Reed, man, balled out. 138 yards receiving in a tutty for the Green Bay Packers. I got him on my fantasy team, but I ended up benching him this week, which was a mistake, but I still won that league. So barely by inches, man, by a point. Hey, that's all it takes in fantasy. All you got to do is win and make it to the playoffs in fantasy football. That's all that matters. The records don't mean crap. As long as you get into the playoffs in fantasy, it's anybody's game. And these are the type of games I need to win. The opener, barely win by a scratch. But shout out to Philly, and Saquon Barkley is a huge problem. I'm telling you right now, Saquon Barkley, the way he was tuned in, the way he was locked in, it looks like Saquon's going to be the number 1 running back this year over McCaffrey. It's going to be interesting. And then we got the Houston Texans beating my Indianapolis Colts in a nail-biter, 29-27. Look, Anthony Richardson balled out. Even though he did have an interception, he had 2 touchdowns, 212 yards passing, had a lot of rushing yards as well. And then Jonathan Taylor, just 48 yards and 1 touchdown. And that's not enough for Jonathan Taylor. And I'm expecting more for Jonathan Taylor. I'm expecting Jonathan Taylor really to take off. Like, I want 100-plus yard games, at least 8 or 9 games this year from Jonathan Taylor or more. Like, that's what I want from Jonathan Taylor. Alec Pierce came out of nowhere. He didn't really do much last year. This game, he snapped off 125 yards receiving in a tutty. It was close. It really was, but the Texans are a huge problem, and I knew the Texans were going to win, even though they didn't cover the spread. The C.J. Stroud, 2 touchdowns. Then you had Joe Mixon, 159 yards rushing in a tutty. Nico Collins, 117 yards receiving. And then you had Stephon Diggs with 2 touchdowns. Went crazy. And I'm telling you right now, Nico Collins, that catch at the very end, I think it was like a little 2 minutes left to go. That sideline catch, it's crazy. I'm telling you, Houston and Nico Collins and company, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, they are stacked. Like, Houston is stacked this year, and I think Houston's going to be a problem for anybody. Not just my Indianapolis Colts because we're in the same division. I'm telling you, outside the division, they're a problem for anybody this year. C.J. Stroud is locked in. I kind of wish we had C.J. Stroud. Even though Anthony Richardson is looking good, he's looking a lot better than last year. I just want him to stay healthy. I don't want him to get hurt doing these extra runs here. And he did take some hits this game, but he got right back up. I get that. But the longevity, I'm thinking longevity here in Indianapolis. We don't want Anthony Richardson to be taking some of these hits. I'd rather Jonathan Taylor do it. So I don't want Anthony Richardson getting involved in some of these big hits. But Nico Collins' catch, sideline catch late in the fourth quarter was the difference maker in this game. And that's why the Houston Texans won. Shout out to the Houston Texans. Even though the Colts went for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, their opening drive, they failed to do it, gave up 3 points. That was another downside. But the Texans won. I'm proud of my Colts, though. Even though we lost, I do think there's a lot of upside with the Indianapolis Colts this year, and I do think they can make the playoffs. I really do. I'm not just hyping them up. I'm seeing a lot of good things with the Indianapolis Colts. I can't wait, and I got them next week against Green Bay. I think they handle business without Jordan Love. And then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington Commanders. It was all Tampa Bay here. I went Washington. I was dumb. I just thought, really Jayden Daniels was going to take over. Even though he did have 2 rushing touchdowns and 88 yards rushing, it just wasn't enough. Baker Mayfield snapped off. Shout out to Baker Mayfield, man. Everybody underestimated him. I did as well. He had 4 touchdowns, tossed up 4 TDs. Chris Godwin had a tutty. Mike Evans had 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans, the most underrated receiver in NFL history, probably. I mean, ever since he got in the league back in 2014, every year he's had 1,000 yards receiving or more. Like, that's crazy. So, homage to Mike Evans, future Hall of Famer, first ballot. I mean, when you're putting up those numbers every single year since Mike Evans got drafted from Texas A&M with his boy Johnny Manziel, they got in the same draft. And wow, so many different dynamics, right? Johnny Manziel went the other way. Mike Evans, wow, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I thought for sure both of them would be Hall of Famers, right? Coming out of A&M, but shout out to Mike Evans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're on the win column right now, and the under did not hit. I went with the under in this game. It did not hit, but shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating up on the Washington Commanders. And then we got the Buffalo Bills versus the Arizona Cardinals. I picked Arizona with my upset game, and it really did look like I was going to get that. It really did. But at the end of the day, Buffalo came back, and they found a way to win. Josh Allen had 4 touchdowns total, 2 passing, 2 rushing, and that's what Josh Allen does. Josh Allen can single-handedly take over a game and say, hey, I'm going to put the game on my back, just like he did a couple years against Kansas City in the playoffs. Even though they lost that game, Josh Allen is that it factor. He's a great fantasy quarterback as well. Kyler Murray, 162 yards passing and a touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 1 reception for 4 yards. That's crazy to me. In a lot of fantasy drafts this year, Marvin Harrison was going in the first 2 rounds. That's it, dude. 1 reception in his home opener as a rookie, bro. It was terrible. Marvin Harrison Jr. disappointed me. I'm glad I did not get Marvin Harrison Jr. I was going to go for him. I thought I was on that hype train, even though I do think he's going to be a superstar eventually in the NFL. Obviously not this year. He definitely is not a superstar. Got a lot to learn. Still a rookie. Only 1 reception. That's disappointing. But, shout out to the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen getting it done. And then we got the Cincinnati Bengals getting upset by the freaking New England Patriots. This ruined a lot of people's bets, a lot of people's parlays in week 1, including my parlay. I had the Bengals, Joe Burrow, 164 yards passing. Zach Moss had a touchdown. Jamar Chase, just 6 receptions, 62 yards receiving. No tutties. So Jamar Chase wants his bag, and I think if he does get his bag, he's definitely going to play a little better. But I'm looking at the Bengals right now. I'm dude, what have you guys done this offseason? Did you guys practice? Did you guys scrimmage? Because it looks like they picked off where they left off last year in the second half of their season. Just terrible. It's just been bad, bro. I don't even know why Joe Burrow, dude, it's just terrible. And I saw a pass Joe Burrow made on the goal line. It was a great pass, and his receiver fumbled the ball on the goal line. Those type of things are going to make you lose a game in the NFL. It's just fundamentals of football. Don't fumble the ball. Jacoby Brissett, 121 yards passing. You had Stevenson, 120 yards rushing and a touchdown for the Patriots, and they won in a sloppy game, 16-10, bro. What the heck? I'm looking at the Bengals and saying, wow, bro, it's time to hit the reset button. You guys have a lot of talent. T. Higgins did not play. You still are going to fumble the bag and lose to the Patriots, dude? That's crazy. Shout out to the New England Patriots getting the job done. And then we got the Minnesota Vikings beating up on the New York Giants, 28-6. I went Minnesota here. Bet against the Giants. Why? Because they got the worst quarterback in the NFL in Daniel Jones. He threw 2 picks. Neighbors had 66 yards receiving. That's it. Sam Darnold on the other side, 2 tutties and a pick. Aaron Jones, 94 yards rushing and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson had a touchdown, about 60 yards receiving, and it was all Minnesota here. Now, Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson, if they can get locked in this season and just get in that flow, I really do think, man, Minnesota can make a run here in the playoffs. They really can. Now, can they win a Super Bowl? Probably not with Sam Darnold. You know, they're just going to have to rebuild and wait for the rookie Michigan quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, who got hurt with an ACL injury, for next year. I just don't see Minnesota really going that deep. However, I do think Minnesota can make a big dark horse team this year and make a run in the playoffs. Somewhat, at least try. But I just like Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the league, pound for pound. That's who the guy is. He's the highest paid receiver in the league for a reason. And that's what he does. He gets tutties. That's what he does. Tutties, touchdowns. You get it. Shout out to the Minnesota Vikings getting the job done. And then we got the Chicago Bears coming back against the Tennessee Titans. This was a really lopsided game. Caleb Williams only 93 yards passing, bro. Like, as a rookie coming in out of USC, I'm getting a lot of hype. This was just a reality check for Caleb Williams, bro. DJ Moore, 36 yards receiving. I mean, Bears, luckily, their defense stepped up, made some plays, had a pick 6 from Will Levis. You know, that was the turning point of the game. Tony Pollard had 82 yards rushing and a tutty. But the Bears, they found a way to win, and that's the true Bears quote-unquote memo. Their ammo is just, that's who they are. They're a defensive team. You know, historically, the Chicago Bears mean. You know, you got the fridge back in the 80s. That's the old school Chicago Bears. And that's what they did. They used to win games in the trenches, you know, because of their defense. And that's why the Bears won this weekend, because of their defense. So, shout out to the Chicago Bears. I want Caleb Williams, man, to turn it around, bro. Like, you got so much talent on there. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, like, dude, like, come on, bro. Please. Caleb Williams, take off, okay? You are in one of my fantasy leagues, and you only put up, like, 5 points. That's not enough, bro. Like, straight up. Caleb Williams, take off for me, please. Shout out to the Chicago Bears. And then we got the New Orleans Saints whipping up on the Carolina Panthers, 47-10. The over hit in this game. I told you to go 41.5. Go with the over. Why? Because Carolina's terrible. And it looks like Bryce Young, man, it looks like he's going to become a bust. I don't know what's going on, but 2 interceptions, just 161 yards receiving. That's it. Derek Carr on the flip side had 200 yards passing with 3 tutties. Kamara had a touchdown, 83 yards rushing. And it was all Saints here. It really was, man. I just think I'm looking at the Carolina Panthers and realizing, man, what's going on with Bryce Young and company? They just look like the same team as last year. They won 2 games last year. 2 games. That's it. Like, that's terrible. Like, that's not cutting it. That is not cutting it whatsoever. But shout out to the New Orleans Saints getting an easy win. The overhit, that was easy. And then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Atlanta Falcons. I picked Pittsburgh. Thank God. They won, and they were the underdogs in this game, which I was surprised. Justin Fields, 156 yards passing. George Pickens, 85 yards receiving. And then you had Kirk Cousins. He had 2 picks. You know, so much for what, $200 million they signed him, 185, something like that. Kirk Cousins, so overrated, so overhyped. I've been saying that. I mean, he had the best receiver last year. What'd they do? Like, how far did they run in the playoffs the past couple years with Justin Jefferson? It's crazy. Kirk Cousins is so overrated, bro. Like, so overrated. He's not that good. I think they need to bring in the young buck out of Washington. Yeah, that's who they drafted 10th overall, I believe, or 9th. They need to bring him in. Kirk Cousins, he's rubbish. He's trash can. I don't care how much money he's got. He sucks. He really does. Robinson had 18 carries, 68 yards rushing, but it was all Pittsburgh here. Pittsburgh's defense stepped up. TJ Watt, brother JJ Watt. Shout out to JJ Watt, retired now, but TJ Watt, difference maker on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I mean, he puts pressure. He has an endless motor. He goes 110% every single play. That's what I love about TJ Watt. He just goes and goes and goes. He never gives up. That's what I love about him. That was the difference. Shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers getting a big win in Atlanta. And then, like I said, the Miami Dolphins game, Jacksonville, that was just so spooky. Miami won. We understand all the Tyreek Hill situation. Still, I'm still kind of like, holy crap, bro. That really happened. I cannot believe it. Free Tyreek Hill. Shout out to the Miami Dolphins getting the dub on that day. Interesting day for Tyreek. What a day. And then we got the LA Chargers beating up the Las Vegas Raiders 22-10. Herbert, 144 yards passing in a tutty. Ladd McConkey, the rookie, had a touchdown, man. I'm telling you, this kid, man, he can play. He can play, and he's a great slot receiver. He can break out in the open. He can cut you off. He can do so many different things as a little slot receiver. I love him. So shout out to the Chargers. I picked the Chargers in this matchup. This was an easy pick for me. It really was. It wasn't that hard. I'm looking at the Raiders and saying, well, they have a backup quarterback, Minshew, at their starting quarterback. Okay, he threw for 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 257 yards passing, but it just wasn't enough. It was all Chargers, and Harbaugh's got something cooking there. He really does, and they're going to continue to get better, and their defense is going to continue to get better. So I can't wait. The LA Chargers could be a dark horse team. That is considered a dark horse team, the LA Chargers, with Harbaugh, with Herbert. I'm telling you what, the sky's the limit for young LA Chargers. And then we got the Denver Broncos versus the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle 6-point favorites. I went Seattle in this matchup. Why? Because it's just the experience. That's why. Geno Smith, 171 yards passing, a touchdown and a pick. Kenneth Walker, over 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. Lockett, 77 yards receiving. It's just DK Metcalf had a game. It's just the experience played a huge factor. We're talking about Bo Nix, a rookie quarterback here. Denver's really young right now. 2 interceptions from Bo Nix. In Seattle, won in a really lopsided game. It was an ugly game. Seattle did not play great. I think Geno Smith's first pass was a pick. So, it was one of them things where it's like, oh, my gosh, what Geno Smith are we going to get this year? He developed. He's more experienced. But as far as to win a Super Bowl, I just don't think Geno Smith is the right quarterback to do that. In Seattle, I don't see it. I really don't. Seattle's a good team, but I just don't see him getting over the hump with Geno Smith. And then we got the Dallas Cowboys whipping up on the Cleveland Browns. I told you guys to go Cowboys. This was my most confident pick all weekend was the Dallas Cowboys over the Cleveland Browns. Why? Because we're talking about the Cowboys who have a high-powered offense. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson, just fell off the face of the earth. Ever since those allegations came out in 2020 where he's getting massages from women, say there was women coming out saying he would lay on the freaking massage bed butt-ass naked, massage his ass and stuff like this. And I'm like, damn, Deshaun, you're freaking weird, bro. What the heck? You can have all the money in the world and still be a weird mother trucker, bro. That is just weird to me. What? What are you thinking, Deshaun? You're a millionaire. You're a target in the public, and you're gonna go to massage places and basically, hey, jack me off type shit. What, bro? Are you crazy? Are you crazy, Deshaun? I mean, look at his career ever since. Deshaun's going down the tube right now. Dak Prescott, 179 yards passing and a tutty. Zeke has a touchdown. CD had 61 yards receiving. Michael Parsons had a sack, and the Dallas Cowboys defense came to play. And they look like they were the top 3 defenses in the NFL. Cowboys and 49ers defenses look like the top-tier defenses in the league right now. They really do. But as far as the Browns go, they're just an unorganized organization. They've always been trash. Ever since I was born in the 90s, I don't remember any time where Cleveland Browns were good. I just never did. The Cleveland Browns always suck, and they stay sucking. And to me, Deshaun Watson has fallen off way more than what he used to be back in 2018, 2019. Ever since then, man, Deshaun Watson has not been the same. But shout out to the Dallas Cowboys, the easiest pick by far in the overhit, the 40.5, the overhit. I told you go over and go Cowboys. You would have cashed out a bag. Take off, Dallas. Let's go! And then we got the freaking LA Rams versus the Lions. Man, this was an overtime game. This game was crazy. It really was. The under did hit, which is sad, which I did go with the under, which I wanted to go with the over. I thought about it for a long time. The under did hit. The Lions covered in overtime. It was crazy. It really was. I mean, Jared Goff, 217 yards passing, a touchdown and a pick. Jameson Williams was the X factor for the Detroit Lions. Having him back healthy, 100%, 121 yards and a tutty for Jameson Williams. Shout out to Jameson Williams, X factor for the Detroit Lions. I'm telling you, from Alabama, dude, he could break off tackles and just take it 70 yards for a touchdown. That's the difference. That's what the Detroit Lions need. And they got Gibbs, another Alabama running back. And they got David Montgomery. He scored a touchdown as well in this game. So it was all Lions, even though Matt Stafford, 317 yards passing, a touchdown and a pick. Cooper Kupp straight went crazy. With Puka going out, I think he's going to be out over a month now. Sad news for LA Rams fans with Puka. But Cooper Kupp, 110 yards receiving and a touchdown. Kyron Williams had a touchdown. I mean, the Rams battled back. They were down 17-3, and they came back. They showed a lot of heart, and I do think the Rams are nice. With Sean McVay, the head coach, a young head coach, he already won a Super Bowl. I do think they can get back to the pinnacle. Is it this year? I don't know. It's kind of a long shot. I do think they need to get a younger quarterback eventually. Matt Stafford's old now. He just doesn't move the same anymore. Already looking hurt in week 1. Like, that's week 1, bro. Like, we have a long way to go until the playoffs. Like, a long way. So it's going to be interesting to see how Matt Stafford handles this whole season, dude. He's old now. So I think eventually bringing a young buck quarterback, and I'm telling you, the Rams could be that team of dynasty eventually with Sean McVay. He already won a Super Bowl. So, you know, what difference does it make if he brings a young buck quarterback in eventually? So I can't wait to see what happens. But the Detroit Lions are legit. They are a team that's going to be favorite to really win a Super Bowl this year. I mean, we look at them, they got the same team as last year. They added more pieces on defense. Aiden Hutchinson, they got so many dogs on defense where it's like, wow, in their offensive stack, St. Brown, you got Sam Laporta. There's just so many great players on Detroit where I'm looking at head coach Dan Campbell and saying, hey, don't fumble this bag here, okay? And I understand he went for it on 4th down twice against the 49ers in that championship game to make it to the Super Bowl, and they failed. So I think they're going to learn from that. They're going to grow from that. And I think head coach Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions are going to be a huge problem this year. We're talking about a team that might lose 3 games this year, if that. So the Detroit Lions going to be a huge powerhouse team. And then we got the Monday Night Football game, the New York Jets versus the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers were 4.5-point favorites, and I went San Fran. Even without McCaffrey being out, McCaffrey was listed as out. He did not play, which he probably could have played if this was a playoff game, but McCaffrey and the head coach and everybody in San Fran was like, hey, we're playing the New York Jets. I understand they have Aaron Rodgers. I get that, but it's the New York Jets after all. They suck, dude. They really do. Aaron Rodgers did not look so great. I mean, he just looked a little rusty. Didn't really understand the momentum of the game. I think he's still trying to decipher that. It's been like 16 days for Aaron Rodgers since he got like a win. So like Aaron Rodgers is definitely feeling that. You know, Breece Hall fumbled the ball, I think the 2nd or 3rd possession of the game. It was just like, man, you can't be doing that. Breece Hall is the number 1 running back in fantasy. Why are you fumbling the ball week 1? You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up, I did not draft Breece Hall for that reason and that reason only. He fumbles the ball. He does some things that, you know, typically number 1 running backs do not do, and that's fumble. But it was all 49ers in the end. They won. They got it done. And Jordan Mason, the 2nd-string running back, undrafted, 147 yards rushing and a touchdown for San Fran. Man, shout to Jordan Mason. What a story, man. Undrafted, never gave up on his dreams. Living the American dream now. Had a huge game. Back up to McCaffrey. So what a job he has, man. But, you know, the powerhouse teams this year in the NFL, we already know. 49ers, Lions, Cowboys. You know, these type of teams that could really take off this year are huge. Now, dark horse teams like the Chargers, per se, they could be a dark horse team where nobody's really rooting for them to really go deep. But we know Philadelphia. We know the Ravens. They're top-tier teams. I just want to see some young, newer teams like the Washington Commanders with Jaden Daniels. I want to see them do good things this year. I want to see a different type of team really take off this year. It's going to be interesting to see. But what a week 1. A lot of bets hit this weekend, man. I can't wait till next week. It's going to be an interesting week 2. But week 1 was crazy. From the Tyreek Hill news to all the things that transpired during the week. What a time, man. And my Indianapolis Colts took an L, but we're going to bounce back. The Colts will make the playoffs this year. You mark my words. It's the Clowning with Cab show. Let's go!